to New Possibilities. I speak truth to power without fear. So, this past Sunday, I was at a community meeting. And I want to just do this quick video while I'm waiting on my pizza. But I was at a community meeting. And it was one of these meetings of Afrocentric people, so called Hotep people. And again, this was on a Sunday, so that made me think about the black church because we know that on Sundays, many people in our community go to churches. And I thought about the so called conscious community and how that conscious community constantly criticizes the black church and they criticize black religion, period. Whether we're talking about Islam or Judaism or Christianity, they constantly attack religion. And as I was listening to this person talk about dogma and condemning dogma and doctrine and all that kind of stuff, and basically, religion and stuff, I thought about how the so called black conscious community is a poor substitute for the black church. And I'm going to explain exactly what I mean. The black church has structure. They actually have buildings where they meet, that they actually own. Many of these conscious groups, these hoteps and stuff like that, they don't own the structures that they have their meetings in. For the most part, these people are renters, and some of them meet on the street. They don't actually have a structure where they meet. So that's one thing. Another thing is this. In terms of the schools, churches actually build schools for their members. Whereas in the so-called conscious community, you have very few schools in the community. Another thing is this. Churches offer social services. Like they feed the poor. Some churches feed the poor. They clothe the naked. They provide housing for those who are homeless. They provide job training. They provide a host of services at some of the model churches in the black community. That can't be said of the so-called conscious community. They don't provide those services. They don't have, programs to feed the hungry. They don't have programs to clothe the naked. They don't have programs to provide housing for those who are homeless. They don't have job training programs to the same degree that you see in the black church. So again, the so-called black conscious community is a poor substitute for the black church. And then when you look at reformation, people turning their lives around, getting away from drugs, getting away from alcohol, getting away from the gangster lifestyle. You don't see an organized effort in the so-called conscious community to reform people to the same extent that you see in the churches and in the mosque. While they condemn religion, they're not nowhere near on the level in terms of what they're doing for the community as the churches, as the mosque. And then when you look at influence over public policies and trying to impact the political system, the church does a better job of that than the so-called conscious community. The conscious community is the one telling you that your vote doesn't matter, that, the politics doesn't matter and all that kind of stuff. Whilst the churches that have these politicians before them, it's the churches that send out their members to actually exercise their right to vote and to participate in the system. So, at the end of the day, the bottom line is this, the black conscious community is a poor substitute for the black church. I mean, when you look at funeral services, for instance, it's the black church that provides that. It's the black church that builds the funeral homes and all that kind of stuff. Where's the Hotep funeral home? Where's the Hotep burial grounds and all that kind of stuff? You can't find it. These same people that condemn religion have to go to religious institutions to bury their loved ones. So again, the conscious community is a poor substitute for the black church. And then the conscious community, they want to condemn the church for the charlatans within the church. And you do have hustling pastors that are no good, trifling pastors that commit adultery and all kinds of things. But you also have that in the so-called conscious community. You have thieves in the conscious community, swindlers and hustlers and con men and charlatans in the conscious community. So the conscious community is in no position to condemn the black church at all.